Would you say that the issues that arose with the run defense against Oregon were the same ones that you saw against Cal, or was it different?
It was different. The quarterback got out 70 yards. That was something we knew we had to do. Had a really complex scheme that we had to face because the quarterback was in the run game. So, obviously that was a challenge for our guys.
What are sort of the points of emphasis that you're trying to get across moving forward here to try to shore up the run defense and defense in general?
Just do our job, you know what I mean, and tackle and everything that you need to preach to the guys. And mainly, as a coach, you got to put them in position. So I got to do a better job, make sure they understand where their fit's going to be. And then, the overall what they're going to face during the game.
As a full-time defensive coordinator, what have you learned along the way through the first 6 games?
There's a lot of different offense that you have to face, every week is a different offense, so trying to keep things simple and allow the guys to play is the biggest thing I need to do.
On the depth chart this week, Manu was moved up to...
Yeah, but they all play, so everybody's going to play.
There's some guys that line that back that we have not seen this season that we saw in practice at various times. Malik Reed, Anthony Solomon. How come those guys aren't in the mix?
I got to make sure they understand their assignments and things like that. And, the best guys going to play, and the best guys is going to play in this program. We can't just put guys in there. You got to earn your spots. That's the thing.
And how did Manu earn this spot?
Making plays at practice. He was showing up on a scout team making plays, and every time I watched practice, he's all over the place. So that's the difference, and he had a knack for the football,
Obviously, he's a little undersized, so how does he kind of combat that, just from what you see?
Size to me don't matter. It's just guys have a knack for the football, Can they tackle? Can they read? Can they drop in zone coverage? Can they man coverage? Everything, and where their eyes are at. Manu, he could do that naturally.
Yeah, we had Manu on our scout team, and he was drilling our linemen who are, giving up 100 pounds. He's a stud, man. I'm excited to see him play too.
Brennan, when Jed was mentioning a little bit about the pressure might have gotten to Jade a little more than it should have, that it was affecting him more. Is there anything in particular that the line needs to do to just kind of keep the pocket cleaner or give the better impression that there's still time?
Well, if there's any leakage, obviously we got to always shore that up and make sure that we can give the best look we can to the quarterback. Even though there's a tough situation, Jaden was still competing like crazy. We didn't feel like there was any fall off. We just there's a couple things we missed on as a group that we looked great in practice. We had a lot of things that we thought we had pretty drilled in on scheme wise that we didn't execute like the way we would have liked to.
How has Big Jonah grown through the first 6 games?
Jonah's done great. In all honesty, the first game he didn't make it through. He was a little bit of nerves and a little bit of lack of hydration. But now he's just in there. He's just an essential piece in our puzzle for the O-line. He's done great. He's really good communicator on the sidelines. He can make his calls. He can echo his calls. He does a great job with that. He's very mindful of the 2 guys next to him and making sure that we're all on the right call. We're all on the right slide. He's been fantastic.
Is anything that he's done surprised you?
In all honesty, not really. The thing that was surprising is how quickly he picked it up. But that was back in January. So really from there, once we knew that he could handle the communication, our scheme, the things we wanted to get done, really nothing's been a surprise since then. He's been fantastic for us.
Johnny, when it comes to the scheme that you use on defense, is it possible that some things could be removed to simplify it? Would that help, or is that not the issue?
Yeah, the verbiage. Yeah, we're going to try to simple things down, because a lot of moving parts, during the game with a shift, when everybody shifts, it's totally different, you know what I mean? So just trying to make sure they understand that throughout the week.
Johnny, are some of the challenges for the run fits and the gaps pre-snap, or is it once they start going in motion?
Once they go in motion, because you got a lot of receivers that are coming across in motion, and then when they go across, is totally a different fit and where their eyes are at. So that's the challenge we're having. And I don't want to sit in one defense. So now they're playing into their hands, you know what I mean, to try to help the kids.
Who's responsible for identifying that and calling out whatever you're going to shift to?
The linebackers.
Are they reading it in time to get everybody moved over? Is it still reading before?
We're reading before, and then, you know, posting the apps. We got to make sure we fit into the right gaps.
We talked a little bit about DJ Mornell and just sort of trying to figure out a place to get him into the lineup. Is the star position a possibility
Yes.
for him?
Yes.
I know he was there originally in the job.
Yes. He's going to spend all weekend at the star position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I follow up on that? What's the importance of the star position? What are his assignments?
More of a cover guy, you know, safety body that could be in the box to help out with the runs. You know, in college football now these days, everything is wide open, so you got to have people in space that can play coverage and fit the run.
How difficult is it to find an offensive lineman that you want for your system? Just either on the recruiting trail through the transfer portal.
How hard is it? It's always hard to find guys that are big and can move quick. And then from there, you want to find guys with the right attitude. You want to find guys with the right makeup that are, you know, willing to be great competitors. You know, we have a variety of sizes on our offensive line. So, you know, kind of to Johnny's point, you know, as long as you can be strong enough to hold up against D linemen, I mean, the height and weights are, you know, they don't matter as much. But I think we're doing a great job on the recruiting trail. We got to finish strong, you know, this season as we get into the early signing day. But I'm excited about the guys we have in the program, the young guys, and the guys that you know, hopefully we get to sign here on the 15th of December.
You faced a quarterback this last week who had a background with the offensive coordinator. It's happening again this week. It's going to happen again against USC. Can you tell when you watch the film that there's like a familiarity or a comfort level with the quarterback and the play?
Oh, there's no doubt. You can see the check with me. He know exactly where they're going with the plays, you know, and it's easier to operate the game from that standpoint between the relationship between the coach and the quarterback to make sure everybody's in the same page. So, yeah, you can see it.
Specifically with Penix and their system, what are the things that stand out the most to you when you watch them on film?
The shifts, motions, you know, going from one play to another, you know, so those are the things that stand out when you're watching tape.
And then you said those were some of the issues you had this past week, so...
Yeah, you know, the thing about it is the first drive, we were in position, you know, to stop the run. And then once they noticed that, they went to a, you know, unbalanced formation where it kind of limits what you're doing, you know what I mean? And then they went to empty, which is a totally different game now. You're in space now with the screen game. So those are the things that we need to clean up this week.
For both of you guys as longtime Pac-12 coaches, what's the experience like playing in Seattle?
Fun. It's a fun stadium to play in, you know, and the crowd gets into it, you know. So, you know, a lot of our guys have never played there, you know. So, you know, it should be exciting to get down there and play in that stadium.
Yeah, it's a beautiful venue out there on the lake, Lake Washington. Got to spend a lot of time up there in Seattle, so it'll be good to go back home. You know, for my kids, that's where they kind of grew up. So they get to go see. They're there now. Actually, they went early to go see their friends. They got a week off of school, so it's cool for them. So I'll have some family up there too. So that'll be great.
Were you get to see your dad this weekend?
The shot, and my mom,
And your mom?
For
Nate.
Seattle sports fans, we
Lincoln.
have to decide
Rocky.
between the first Mariners home
Yeah.
game in 21 years.
I mean, it's been so long. I'm sure, like, they'll have Macklemore out, like, you know, throwing the first pitch. Like, it'll be a big deal. Yeah.
And we had a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, our first year at UW.
I mean, yeah, you can.
I think
You know,
USC was number 3. Were you on that staff? We won that game, didn't
John,
we?
you still talking? If they do, I mean, it's such a, you know, momentous event there in Seattle. If they wanted to show up to, you know, the baseball game, support their M's, as we're doing here in our own press conference, it wouldn't be a shock. But the programs, the UW programs, it's pretty exciting right now. I wouldn't be shocked to see a bunch of people there.
For Johnny, you guys didn't have any tackles for loss this past week. How do you interpret that statistic? How does that affect?
Well, I think they only allowed 1 sack all year, Oregon, so, and the quarterback was always on the move, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to try to get through those big guys to try to get some of those plays. We're in place to make tackles. Sometimes we tackle at 2 and then they gain the extra 5, so we got to do a better job of driving our feet and make sure we're tackling.
Brennan, can you give me a scout report and the challenges for Washington's defensive throwers?
Yeah, sure. They got a bunch of defensive ends that all look like they're ready for the next level. Great size on the line. They play really aggressive in the secondary. They're going to give us some matchups outside, I'm sure, and we got to take advantage of that. Really aggressive defense that have played some tough teams, some ranked teams, and got after them. So it's a solid group across the board everywhere. They've had some injuries in the secondary a little bit. I think they're fighting through that, but it's you can't tell by personnel who's in there in terms of how hard they're playing. So they're flying around.
Oregon's offensive line seemed to be a pretty elite group. Brennan, would you ever take some of what they did and use that as teaching tape for your guys? Would you ever do something like that?
Nope. No, we just use our stuff. Sometimes we'll take some NFL film and stuff like that. But in all respect to those guys, they've been together for 5 years, and those guys are all almost mid-20s now. So when you have that continuity and those guys all stick together, and fifth or sixth year seniors on the line, they're gonna look pretty good. They're gonna be used to playing together and in somewhat similar systems. So it's not shocking that it's one of the better groups in the Pac-12.
DJ Williams seems like he's improved a lot since he first got here. Where have you seen him?
Yeah, really. Early on, it was just getting him in shape. He had a bunch of summer classes to get taken care of, so he could graduate and get here. But just in his development in the system and learning our schemes, and just being aggressive with it, you can kind of see early on. He was hesitant in some of his reads, but as you saw this past weekend, he saw his read and hit it, and nobody touched him. So we'll expect obviously that, and even more from him going forward.
Did you see that speed from before? I think a lot of people were taken aback. We didn't know that he had that gear.
Yeah, when we were evaluating his film from back in the SEC, a couple times he took it to the house versus some SEC opponents where it's hard to catch him. And so that was a huge part of him, just getting him in shape and getting back to his playing weight. And so that's kind of the expectation now.
UCLA and ASU were able to move the ball pretty effectively the past 2 weeks against Washington. Can you take anything from those games to implement in your game plan?
We'll stay with our style and our schemes, and we're not going to change a whole bunch. But there's some things you can take advantage of that match our scheme, and we'll definitely do that for sure.
Overall, halfway through the season, what's your assessment of just how the defense has performed and where you guys can get better?
We got to be more consistent. We're up and down. You know what I mean? And obviously, if we stay consistent and our guys understand our scheme and things, this is their first year playing in the system. So we're going to have some up and downs, but we got to clean up some things and just stay consistent.
About how you work through the challenge when the offense is going, and then it's 3 and out, and the next time out maybe sputtering a little bit, the challenge of getting them back into the groove and calming down and not pressing too much?
Our guys, the good thing is, at least with the offensive line, we've been there for the most part. The guys have been in the same room, having Jordan and Josh and Peyton over there. Those guys are a really good beacon to turn towards, when things are getting rough, we're not having as much success as we'd like. Their demeanor has been great, right? That we don't get, and really our sideline's been great. Our guys don't get down on each other. There's no infighting. We know, just go back out there. We know that we can be good. We expect to be good. And so even if it doesn't go right, our guys don't get frustrated. Even fourth quarter, the game's not looking good, they're out there battling, competing. So there really isn't much flinch on those guys.
That's our time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thanks, guys.